For many long-time backers of Star Citizen, they will recognise this as the de facto original fighter of the Star Citizen franchise. At one point, the unchallenged king of fighter combat. How does it stack up in the game right now? I'm Forrester, and in this video I review the Star Citizen ship, the Anvil F7C Hornet. Star Citizen is currently in alpha testing, with the Hornet as one of the flyable ships. She's flown by a solo pilot and is described as a medium fighter, although in reality she's on the heavier end. For those of you who've seen other ship reviews on this channel, you'll recognise the usual format for this video. It's split into 5 sections, starting with a ship tour, assessing combat performance, reviewing handling and visibility, looking at the operating costs before finally summarising. I've included timestamps in the video description to help navigate to each part of the review, and if you're one of the 80% of people watching who isn't yet subscribed to the channel, you may wish to subscribe to be notified of future videos. Part 1. Ship Tour. And as an old-style fighter craft, the Hornet is solely a cockpit space. You enter via a ladder on the left or port side of the ship, and this takes you up into your pilot's chair. The interior detail is nice, but this is all the interior space you get for your money. Part 2. Combat Performance. Your Garden Variety Hornet comes armed with slots for 3 fixed size 3 weapons. Depending on your model, one of those might not be filled, but interestingly, the Hornet comes with lots of weapons customization options. For example, you could swap out the fixed nose slot for a gimbaled dual size 1 turret, and you can swap out the cargo module in the middle for either a dual size 3 gimbal or a single size 4 gimbal. That gives you a lot of options to mix and match, particularly if you're interested in tailoring your Hornet to your own preferences. For this video, that's exactly what I've done, and so you'll see mounted 3 Mantis repeaters and a Revenant up top for extra punching power. And the firepower of the Hornet is actually really strong even today. It's not quite as well armed as a Hurricane, but then not much is, and the firepower that the Hornet brings to the party is more than sufficient for even medium-sized targets. It's manoeuvrable enough to be able to keep guns firing on target, and with some swapping around of the stock bays, is able to carry size 2 and 3 missiles for extra stopping power. The 2 size 1 stock shield generators quite badly need an upgrade, as although this is a fighter, the Hornet makes use of civilian components. That said, this is a ship that is notorious for losing parts before it explodes, and you may often find yourself limping back to port missing a wing or 2, but still going strong. Part 3. Handling and Visibility. So, starting with the obvious, yes, the Hornet is plagued by the presence of cockpit struts, which partly obstruct the pilot's view. It's a shame, but it seems to be an aesthetic choice to make this feel like a rugged space brawler rather than a sleek fighter jet. In reality, you get good visibility out to the sides and above, and the strong roll rate of the Hornet means you can largely keep an opponent within your sights should you choose to. And that seems to be the name of the game for the Hornet. The thruster placement is excellent, which gives the Hornet excellent translation performance, assuming none of your thrusters have been damaged in your current fight. That means you can point your nose really responsively. The Hornet has decent acceleration and decent braking. It's not the fastest, but it's not slow by any means, and with generous application of afterburner can be tamed somewhat. That's true planet side too. It's not as nimble as a Gladius, for example, but you're able to comfortably fly fairly low, fairly fast, and fairly safely. Likewise, landing is a fairly consistent experience in the Hornet, because it's very predictable, which is a really nice attribute for a fighter to have. As far as the stock quantum drive goes, it's really slow. but it also has really good range, meaning you could traverse the entire Stanton system in your Hornet, should you choose to. Part 4. Operating costs. So it's important to point out that the civilian Hornet model, the F7C, does come by default with a cargo module in the centre, which carries 2 SCU of cargo storage. That means that, in theory, you could trade with your Hornet, but you really don't want to. Retaining that cargo storage means you lose out on the potential of a size 4 or 2 size 3 weapons. It's a neat customization feature, which seems to be more akin to a travel pod that you might find on a modern fighter jet, rather than something hugely useful. Although, somebody may well have figured out a great use for it in the comments. But for most pilots, the Hornet will make money completing combat contracts, which it does really well. Even if you need repairs, the total cost of repair, rearm and refuel is likely to be within a couple of thousand Alpha UEC, which the Hornet can cover on even the least risky combat missions. And it can capably stretch to some of the more challenging contracts too. And so, part 5, the verdict. So the Hornet does a pretty good job at what it's meant to do, brawling with space fighters. There's a hint that it might be able to flirt with doing other things, but with nowhere to walk around and no bed, the reality is this is a combat workhorse. It has a rugged, brawler-like feel to it, which is in contrast to the lighter fighters such as the Gladius. There are a lot of customizable options for the F7C Hornet, although some of the more specialised versions, such as the Tracker, the Ghost, or even the 2-seater Super Hornet are separate ships, the base model F7C can swap between various weapons hardpoints in the ball and the nose. And because the F7C Hornet is civilianised, you're incentivised to actually upgrade the components within. It comes in at $125 or 1.5 million Alpha UEC. The pledge price is a tall ask, simply because although the Hornet is a better combat ship than most of the other starter ship options, it's more limited in functionality and at an increased price. Back in 2014, it was a more compelling option for those who saw themselves as combat diehards, but the reality of buying ships in-game is sinking in now, and even if you're a big Hornet fan, you may be wise to save your real dollars, get something cheaper, and use space dollars to buy it instead. But do you agree? What do you think of the Hornet? Let me know by sharing your thoughts in the comments. And if you've enjoyed the video, you might consider clicking the like button. You may also be interested in my review of the Super Hornet. Outside of that, if you're looking for a group who plays Star Citizen regularly, I've included a link to my organisation in the video description. Thank you for watching.